Hello, this is Josh Hawley from Malekko Heavy Industry NAMM 2017. I'm here with my little BFF, Scott Yeager, from some industrial music company formerly known as the Harvestmen. And we're going to talk about some synthesizer boxes that we decided to create. So first off, we have a product called the Manther. And the Manther is a monosynth, and it has CEM 3340 VCO. So you can see pretty common. There's a VCO section. There's an analog VCF based off the 3320 filter. It is analog and analog VCA envelope and a pretty sweet sequencer, and it's super awesome. Also, we have a drum machine called the Mr. D, and it is all analog as well. So there are two kicks, snare, tom 1, tom 2, cymbals, hi-hats, kind of familiar. But what is super cool about this, despite it is being all analog, has individual outs, trigger ends, and things like, so I super love trashy drums. So each, for example, bass drum has a hard clip, soft clip. It has a pseudo bit crusher, which is also analog. So, and on top of that, it also has a compressor and a drive on the master out. So basically, it's totally ridiculous drums, not super tame Kaja Gugu drums, but something that will just kind of punch in the face over and over again. Also, 64 capability of 64 steps. Very familiar. Variegate are from our series. We have a probability per voice, repeats, delays for swing. So an incredibly full-featured, all-analog, compact drum machine.
Is the variegate kind of style probability stuff, is that in addition to kind of like standard sort of step sequencing?
Correct.
Yeah.
So imagine, we have our voice, we select it. So this voice, so each voice that we have has its own variegate attached to it. So you can have different lengths per voice. Basically, so the overall palette is incredibly, or possibly incredibly complex. Crazy polyrhythms and randomization, repeatable, basically chaos or not.
So these are all like very early prototypes, right? Because
so these sadly are
we can't listen to them, right?
These are prototypes. So Portland, Oregon, which is where I live, got a snowstorm of epic proportions, and it completely destroyed the town. Sadly, despite our best effort, we even got PCBs made in one day at a great expense, and they hadn't shown up 9 days later. So sadly, we only have these sexy boxes to show. Fortunately, whenever we get back, we'll have stuff waiting for us. Our target ship is in March. So basically, right after NAMM, we can build, massage, and start shooting demos of them in action.
And finally, you've got this last one.
Yeah, so I'm going to hand this over to my little BFF. It is a collaboration between me and Scott. Here's Scott.
The BFF is a synthesizer Groovebox that features a digital oscillator and 4 voices. The wavetable oscillator is similar to my work on the Piston, Honda, and Kermit modules, where you can select a basic wavetable, morph the waveforms from one end to the other. Each of the 4 selections, cleverly labeled here, has a different character. The waveform then travels through an additional stage of wave shaping, which could go from saturation to hard wave folding, and of course, multiple modulation options. The oscillator parameters also have some deeper settings that are programmable through this display and the editing interface. The finished waveform then travels through an integrated VCF-VCA combination, a clone of the 3320, also a delay unit. As you can see, it's the same style sequencer as the others, but adapted for 4-voice operation. CV and gate outs are also provided for each of the sequencer tracks.
So on the can it be in addition to being like 4 separate voices, can it also be like played polyphonically?
I don't know. It's I'm not working on the sequencer. My specialty here is the oscillator. You'd have to ask Josh.
Josh has conveniently run away now, right?
Yes, but on the wavetable, you can, through the menus, you can enable a unison detune function, which will put a second oscillator on each of the tracks if desired. Also can be configured as your typical sub-oscillator.
So one more question. I'm guessing pricing and availability is kind of slightly unconfirmed, but maybe you can give us a ballpark figure.
So we're shooting for $599 for the Manther and the Mr. D, and we're shooting for $649 for the BFF. And availability, we're also shooting for sometime in March.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I look very forward to it.
Thank you so much.